All right, so we're here. Welcome everyone, Chris Petri. We're having a fun time creating a beautiful flower arrangement here. Just some simple few flowers, red flowers here, some green leaf forms in a jar. Let's keep it simple. Let's just work the next maybe 15-20 minutes on our project here, and we'll see what kind of results we can get. So I just basically will cover everything that you're going to need to kind of get this all completed. We're going to start out with a preliminary sketch, which is basically a very light sketch. So at home, in your studio, whether you like to work in your kitchen, living room, a porch, a basement, or maybe outdoors, wherever you like to paint, you're going to be enjoying just using your electronic device like your phone or your iPad or your home computer, using this photograph we have right on camera. So this will be on camera at all times, as well as our palette. So this palette will be on camera at all times. Everything together here in the actual picture frame. So you'll be able to have everything at your fingertips, and then you will actually just start out with a preliminary sketch to make sure that the flowers are filling up your picture frame here, your rectangle. Then secondly, you'll go over with a darker pencil line. Once you have your first really light pencil sketch done, your preliminary sketch, you go over with your darker contour drawing, which is basically you're going to go back over with a darker pencil line just to make sure you have everything really set in place, everything looks good. If you need to add a little more volume to your flowers and make a couple petals a little larger, you'll do that on your second contour drawing phase. And then once you're done with that, then we're right into the painting phase. We'll mix up all the colors we need first off, so you'll see how we do that. We mix all the reds that we have and some greens and a little bit of blue and purple. We'll get all of those mixed out on the palette first, and then we'll just go in and start painting. And this way we have everything's all set up on the palette first with our color selections, and then we just go in and we start painting. And you'll see how fun and easy this is to do. It really works out really well when you follow the basic concept and processes of how we are going to create this beautiful flowers in a vase, a little small milk jar. And again, we'll get started just in a second. All right, so we'll get a move on here, and we did see the finished painting, of course, just a second ago. And these are some beautiful red flowers, silk flowers. I had purchased recently some really beautiful silk flowers. Sometimes they're a little more convenient than purchasing fresh flowers, although I do like to purchase fresh flowers. But in this case, we are going to use some silk flowers. And I took a picture of my setup here. I just have some white foam board behind these flowers across from me in my studio here. So I'm looking across this way. And I have this bouquet set up, and again, just a simple milk jar. We really don't see much of the milk jar there. And I had just a couple of the silk or plastic leaf forms that are we set into the milk jar, and then we have, of course, the beautiful silk flowers there. So we're going to keep this a simple, fun, enjoyable flower painting. Let's fill up our rectangle with plenty of subject matter. So we'll take our rectangle here. I'll just put a pencil line across here like that, and I'm going to start out probably with a preliminary sketch, which is basically just a really light sketch of the flowers and the leaf forms, so that I kind of get a feel for what it's going to look like in the space here. So maybe I'll just start here. I kind of see that this is somewhat the center, the point of this petal of the flower here. So that's sort of like the center point, like that. So maybe I'll start there. And I'll come down and I'll make another. And I'm just going to carefully, lightly though, I'm hoping you might be able to see this a little bit. I'll go over with a darker pencil line once I'm completed here, so don't feel like I'm trying to hide anything here. I just want to make sure I sort of get everything with a light pencil sketch first. This way it kind of gives me a little more versatility and the ability to also maybe erase a little bit and make some corrections if I need to, but be that as it may, I'm just going to keep working my way around here and carefully, just lightly kind of pencil sketch in what I'm seeing. Okay, so I see a couple spots that I might have needed to make my flower petals a little bit larger. But it gives me a good reference point here for everything. Alright, so I did my preliminary sketch. You can see it's very light, and again, I know you can probably see some of it, but not everything. So now I'll go over with a darker pencil line, but I'll take a quick break first. Usually when I create my preliminary sketch, I do a little bit of erasing. To try to just get a few things maybe a little bit more accurate to what I'm seeing in this photograph. But right now I feel pretty confident that this looks pretty good. Alright, so we're going to go over with a darker pencil line in just a second, which we'll call that our contour drawing, which is basically a trip through the painting with a darker pencil line over the top of our preliminary sketch, where we just sort of feel the freedom of we already have a good strong light pencil line first, which we can use to just give us like a kind of like a blueprint for the next drawing, the next darker pencil line we're going to draw over top. And in that second preliminary or in that second contour drawing over the top of our preliminary sketch, you can also make further changes and carefully go through it the same way we did the preliminary sketch and make a few adjustments. And you can always draw something a little larger over the top of your preliminary sketch. Usually your preliminary sketch is going to be extremely light, so you'll barely see it visibly on the paper, only enough that you can see it, so that you're pretty much confident that you have everything in the right spot, so that when you go in to do your final contour drawing over the top of your preliminary sketch, then you're going in and doing your darker pencil line. And that's really all it is. It's kind of like a fail-safe way to get something started on your paper where you kind of know you have worked it out first in a really light pencil sketch fashion, so that when you're going over with your final contour drawing with your pencil on top of that, it's going to be really strong. It's going to be really good, and you know you're not going to be having to do much corrections after that point, because you already have your preliminary sketch, and you did a little bit of erasing here and there on your preliminary sketch as you were working through that really light pencil line to get things, maybe corrected here and there if you need to adjust a few things, or maybe it's going to be fine and you don't need to. But at least you have that opportunity, that fail-safe opportunity to get that preliminary sketch in there first. Great way to approach your drawings, even with, of course, with flowers, still life, anything really, figure work, portrait work, landscapes, seascapes, city scenes, street scenes, whatever it is you're drawing and painting. Never feel like you're locked into just having to draw it the first time and then that's all. You can always go in and do that really light, super light sketch first, preliminary sketch, to sort of work things out before you get in and do your final drawing. Okay? All right, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, so let's continue here. Let's do our final contour drawing. So this is going to be a little bit of a darker pencil line, so I feel really good that I have my preliminary sketch completed, and I'm going to start out probably in the beginning of my contour drawing in the central area of the flowers arrangement here. These few flower shapes, flowers themselves, and I'll just start to go around here. And again, if you see something that you need to make a little bit larger for your flower petals or your flower arrangement here, please do that. Make it larger. Make the correction. Again, now my darker pencil line, as you can see here, is that will be the final pencil line that I'll use when I start painting, and that looks pretty good there. And then we have this here, okay, and then this here. Okay, that looks pretty good. So basically we're ready to paint. We have everything pretty much worked out pretty nicely here. Maybe I'll make a little bit of a indication of some kind of like the radius of the bottom of the neck of the jar here, the milk jar. But overall, I think that is going to be fine. All right, so I might have needed to just make a few more details here. That. Okay. So now we have our final drawing completed. I'm going to just grab a few of my brushes. So what I'll do is I'll just take a quick break for a second, and I'll just grab my brushes that I'm going to need for the painting, and maybe I'll spritz the paints a little bit too before I get started. And then we'll get painting right away. Alright, so I have my brushes ready to go, and I'm going to take some water, put that in my water container. Usually I just rinse out my water container quick before I start a new painting, just in case there's any sediment in the bottom. So I'll do that right now as I'm working. So okay, so I just made sure my water container was pretty much fresh, clean water in there, and I have my brush here. So what I'll do is I'll just, it's going to be more of a simplified color scheme. This is going to be mostly reds and a little bit of that yellowish red, like an orangey red, and some greens. I think that's going to be really a really good color scheme that we're going to use. So we'll use some alizarin crimson here. Then we'll even go with some that really nice rose madder here, which is like more of a pinkish, lighter, transparent red. Alizarin crimson's transparent as well. And after that, we're going to maybe take a little bit of the cadmium red here. So this is where you can start getting out your colors in your palette, just so you can kind of see like what colors you're going to want to use. I think we'll use all three of these reds that we have in our palette. It's really nice to have some extra reds. You know, some people might be more comfortable maybe more comfortable just using one or two reds, but I like to have three reds. I usually have these three always set up in my palette: the cadmium red, rose madder, and the alizarin crimson. And this way we have plenty of really nice range of reds that are going to give us a lot of, you know, a little bit of complexity to this. We don't want to just go in with one, you know, one hue of color. And let's do this. Let's also have a little bit of raw sienna over here to give us that maybe a little bit of the orangey red that we can mix in some of the alizarin crimson maybe. So we'll have a little bit of that for where the lighter areas are. So you can see there are some lighter areas. That might be where the orangey yellow might be. And then the other areas of red are where the darker areas are. And sure enough, we might need a little bit of blue and red, or we could add in some purple too. We'll use some mineral. This is actually ultramarine violet, Winsor & Newton ultramarine violet. So we could have some of that worked in here with some burnt umber to keep it a little bit dark, and some alizarin crimson too. A little more French ultramarine blue. Okay, so that can be our dark. And I think we're all set. So I'm going to go in with my darkest dark first, and we're going to be calling this our alla prima method of painting, which is let's get our dark in there first, the darkest darks of our flower arrangement here. Okay, so I'll get some more darks there. There's some up here. I'm just following what I'm seeing here, that there's some darks here, like so. And there's maybe a little bit under here. So this is the kind of fun of it. We kind of know we can get some darks in as we're going. At the start, I won't get too aggressive with the darks. I just want to get a few started here. Like this. So this little bit of shadowing. Like this. Okay. Looks good. Now we'll work in some, let's make some lighter reds here. A little bit of the, so I'm going to start going for some of the lighter bits of some orangey red there. Some orange red there. So I'm just trying to work out some areas of maybe lighter. They're more sparse. Some of these like middle tones. You can see this is kind of like a middle tonal value. It's not too dark, it's not too light. So I'll try to start working these in here. Kind of see where they are, like this. There's some here. And then what I'll do is I'll start to work in some of the darker reds, the alizarin crimson. And then just bring that right down into the darker darks. Feel free to leave some light lights, some bright you can always leave some bits of light, or you might see a little bit of a highlight of a light with your I usually like to have a tissue in hand to rinse off my brush and dry off a little bit of the water, and then go in and pick up some more paint like that. And then we have some more of this lighter tonal value there. With a little bit of some so as you can see, we really are slowly but surely working our reds, which we have lots of variation. And then you can take some red, mix it in with that purple. And that gives it a little more feeling that it's kind of a softer transition between the reds and the oranges and the purple, which is the dark shadows. Here we have the, and again, please leave a little bit of highlights in your flowers, a little bit of light bouncing off your petals of your flowers, some white spots of paper. Even though you don't see them here, you could leave a few. I think they do look pretty good. We're going to make a darker bit of red there, here. You can take some more cadmium red here too, like this, and same thing here. Like that. Okay, I will do a little bit of splashing. A couple of splashes here and there just to loosen up the painting. If a couple splashes maybe don't look great or something like that, you can always lift them up. Okay. And then some darker French ultramarine blue and some ultramarine violet, with maybe a little bit of red in there too. Maybe a little bit of brown, burnt umber, just to gray it down a little bit. It can't hurt to gray down a few spots here and there with some burnt umber for your flower petals. But the main thing is have fun with this. You can do many of these. You can come up with different variations of your flower shapes and but I think this looks pretty good. I think we're actually coming along pretty nicely here. We have some greens, so I'll just take some green here, sap green, and maybe a little bit of cadmium lemon yellow. It does look like it's a pretty bright green. And I'll just get a couple of these leaf forms going. You could add a little bit of French ultramarine blue and purple. Make a little bit of a shadow here and there if you want to. And again, some cadmium lemon yellow and sap green. You can leave a couple bits of white paper on your leaf forms to kind of give it that really nice feeling of some light bouncing around in your painting. Can't go wrong with that. And then here we have another petal back here. I mean a leaf form, I should say. And then another leaf form over here. and the stem. A little bit of some raw sienna too with the stem. Maybe a little bit of blue. Darken it up a couple spots like that. Give it a little bit of a different feel of lights and darks. Some spaces of white paper too as well. You can take a little bit of maybe some cerulean blue. Over here you can always clean up a little spot for yourself if you feel like you need to just clean up a spot or two on your palette like that, and put a little bit of cerulean blue there. And maybe you can use some cerulean blue to a little bit of shadowing on the vase like that underneath. And then some cerulean blue would look good up here in a couple of spots. So if you add cerulean blue down here in the jar, the milk jar, please add some in a few spots. Doesn't have to be everywhere, just a couple. Add a couple little bits of cerulean blue like that. Maybe you can take your rinse off your brush, dry off the water, and just smooth it out and make it very subtle, but it'll still be there, and then you won't feel like we've added a color that we weren't really, that we didn't add anywhere else. So I'll add some more cerulean blue here too as well, and here. So now the painting is happy. It knows that the rest of the painting is matching up with all of the colors. All our colors are harmonizing throughout the whole entire composition. That can be a real rookie mistake, to put one color one place in your painting and not put it other areas in your painting, because that really can add confusion for someone looking at the painting and they don't understand why there's just one bit of color that's in the painting that's nowhere else, and it almost looks like someone snuck into the studio and put some paint on the painting. So let's avoid that. Make sure we put our colors everywhere. Okay, so now we're going to do this other leaf form here. This one can be a little darker, so I'll go for a little bit of blue, French ultramarine blue, and sap green. And we'll make this one like dark, a little bit darker here, like that. And a couple little bits of dark here and there. Maybe a couple darks there. A couple of bits of the green too. Let's add a little bit of green, sap green. Maybe here and there. And those dark areas, that's a perfect spot to put some of that green, that sap green, where you have your darkest dark shadows. And I think we're kind of coming to a conclusion here. So we really have enjoyed the process of getting our drawing in, and then I'll add a few more bits of splashing, and just maybe a couple radiating forms here with just a very light amount of paint. Maybe some of that purple and blue, just a couple of indications of some radiating washes. Like this. And that can add some additional excitement to your painting. And again, if you splash some things and you think, oh, it's too many splashes, you just lift up with your tissue here and there. If you have too many splashes, no big deal. You can lift them up quick. If you just do them, look at it quick and say, does that look good? If it does, you leave it. If it's too many splashes or too much, you just quick blot them up and you're all set. All right, so we have completed the painting. I think it looks good. And again, we're just having fun doing some flower shapes and petals and a little bit of a flower arrangement. Nothing too incredibly complex. We're having fun with it, enjoying the colors, the washes of paint, the darks, the lights. And I hope you enjoyed this. Have fun with this, and just remember, you'll just, if you don't like the way your painting comes out the first time, no worries. You're just going to go back and start another painting, another flower painting. And you might change your flowers. Maybe you're going to pick one out online or something and download it to your phone or your computer and print out something, or just work from your phone or your iPad or your iPhone, whatever type of device you have. But it's really a lot of fun just to create some flowers and a sense of freshness. All right, so we will be back very, very soon with more flower paintings. And again, this is some of my best and fun things to do with watercolor, creating flowers, also putting them into still life paintings along with other things like fruits and cups and other little items, just odd items that you might find, like you can use your art supply items. I like to paint my paintbrushes, my watercolor paintbrushes in there. Again, coffee mugs, coffee cups, fruits, vegetables, anything that you might think you could put in there, wine bottles, glasses, any kind of fun items you might like to put into your still life paintings. You can always do that just to bring more excitement to it and more interest and variation to the compositions that you're going to create. But this is always just a fun composition in itself, doing a few flowers in a vase. And all right, we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.